So the same year, 1971, there was an unfortunate event that you had to go through, sir. There was a landmine that you came across and you lost one of your leg. Would you like to share a little about that, sir?
I don't like to talk much about this because there are people who are trying to say things about me. What I would like to say is that, yes, it happened. I stepped on a mine. I went across after the surrender. The first time I went across, because now we were responsible for these people and their safety, because the Mukti Bahini and the Pakistani civilians were out to take revenge against the Pakistani army. So we were now responsible for their security. So the first time I went across, and I saw a truck full of blankets. So I called the JCO and I said, साहब ये कंबल किसके लिए है? आपके स्टोर के लिए है या जवान के लिए है? जवानों के पास कंबल है साहब, कि आपके जवानों के पास कंबल नहीं है? शायद नहीं. इसे क्यों? अरे हम सोने के लिए नहीं आया इधर, आपको बर्बाद करने के लिए आए. So he said that. He's okay. And then I said, अगर हमारा जवानों देने के बाद अगर कुछ कंबल रह जाते हैं, can you give it to my officers? इसे साहब आप क्या बात कर रहे हो? अफसर साहबान के पास भी कंबल नहीं है. तो मैंने जवाब दिया, अगर जवानों के पास कंबल नहीं है तो अफसर साहब के पास कंबल कैसे हो सकते हैं? He came to attention because the Pakistani army officer leadership is quite different. They are not close to their troops, whereas we are very close to our troops. So he saluted me and he said, जनाब, अगर हमारी फौज में भारत जैसे अफसर थे, ये दिन हम नहीं देखना था. That is the first time. The second time I went, because the BSF official was getting panicky. He said, there's so many of these people with weapons and they are, I'm feeling threatened. So I said, relax, I'm coming across. So I told my CEO, can I go? He said, Ian, why are you wanting to go? Who is this BSF chap? He's not under our command. We don't know where he's come from. We don't know who he is. And the war is over, now relax. So I said, sir, if he opens fire, there'll be an international incident. Let me go. So against his better sense, I went and I stepped on a mine and my leg blew off. And a Mukti Bahini person who was there, he had the guts. He must have been a powerful person. I don't remember very clearly what happened, but he jumped into the minefield, lifted me up and took me out of the minefield and took me to my brigade, to the battalion headquarters, and I apologized to the CEO. So what had happened was, before the surrender, Pakistani artillery had destroyed our MI room. MI room is the medical facilities of so there was no medicines available. There was no instruments to cut my leg off or whatever. So my leg was looking very disgusting. It was hanging, a boot with a foot in it. So I used the kukri to just... people have made a big story about this. I didn't chop off my leg. It was nothing heroic about it. It was just that something had to be done. But people have made big stories about it. That's what's very embarrassing. So I don't like to talk about this, but because there are people who are trying to denigrate me in this matter, and it's uncomfortable.
So what's more inspiring about this story is not that you cut your leg, but that you continue to serve in the Indian Armed Forces and continue to command a brigade, continue to run marathons even after such an adversity. So that is what I want to talk about.
So that is what I also would like to talk about, in the sense that when we were in hospital, we were told that you cannot return to your troops. Battle casualties, disabled battle casualties who are minus a limb, cannot go back to their troops. So I joined the army, and I was very, very happy with the troops I was serving with, the Gurkhas. And I could not imagine life in uniform away from my battalion and my troops. But I did not know what I could do to change this order. Right from World War One, no Indian Army officer who was disabled in war was allowed to return to his troops. None of them were promoted, except 2 were promoted to brigadier's rank, but then only on the staff. I was not prepared to accept this, but I had no idea as to what I would do to remedy this issue, this problem. God was good. Things happened in a way. I only decided that I must keep myself physically fit to accept any challenge that comes my way. I took part in the physical proficiency test. I did better than 7 officers in a 2-mile run. I left 7 officers with 2 legs behind.
Wow.
And the officer who was running the test was very happy. He wrote a report about me, which went to, I was in military operations then. And General Vaidya, the DMO, said, there's a good report about you. When you've done a BPT test, you didn't have to do it. I said, yes, I need to prove myself. He says, prove what? That I can command troops. He says, yeah, which battalion have you commanded? So I said, sir, I haven't commanded a battalion. So he said, you have not commanded a battalion? Don't you want to command a battalion? I said, yes, I do. So he said, you apply. I said, the rules don't permit. He said, you apply. I will support you. He supported me, took me to the vice chief. And the vice chief said, send him with me to J&K. So I went with him to J&K. Again, God was good. I climbed a feature where it was being commanded by a friend of mine. I said, let me go and have breakfast with him. I didn't realize that I was doing something great. I climbed this hill. I had breakfast with him. And the vice chief landed in a chopper. And he said, how have you come here? Thinking that because I'm NDA, I have an Air Force friend who managed to give me a chopper to. So I didn't understand. I said, sir, I climbed. He says, you can climb. I said, sir, what I cannot do lies in the minds of my senior officers. He says, don't be impertinent. But it registered in his mind. He went to the chief, and the chief was General Rainer. He had lost an eye in war. So, and he would never have become the chief if that order had been applied to him. So he said, send Cardozo with me to Ladakh. I went. He saw me perform over there. When he came back, he called for my file, and he said, yes, give him a battalion and other war-disabled officers who are not taking shelter of their wounds. So that is how I got a battalion.
Wow.
Others got the battalion. And then when I was due for promotion to brigadier's rank, they were not giving me command of a brigade. I wrote to the chief. Again, God and luck favored me. The chief at that time was the div commander under whom I fought when I lost my leg, General K.B.K. Rao. And he said, if you can command a battalion in peace and war, what is the problem? So they said, there's no precedence. So he said, create one. And that's how I got a brigade. I was the first person to be approved for command of a battalion, command of a brigade. And promotion has opened up in the Indian Army right to the top of battle casualty today. 3 battle casualties, one who lost 2 legs, became army commanders, which is 1 rank below the chief. And we are waiting for the day when a disabled officer will become the chief of the Indian Army.
Wow, sir. That's so inspiring to hear.
So this is what I would like to be known
Exactly.
for.
That's what matters, what the legacy that you leave behind for yourself. Sir, because you told me the story, I would want to understand your mental strength. How did you manage to make your mind so strong that even after adversity, you look through the light? Because that is a problem in today's time. Young adults like me, the youth, we give up really easily. But looking at your example, your story, it's inspiring to know that it is important to have the mental strength at the end of the day. Can you speak a little about that, please, sir?
Okay. I have told you about 2 books of mine, which, since you are in this business, to get those books. One is of the 1971 war, Stories of Grit and Glory. It has been reprinted 3 times within a year and a half of its publication. Therefore, there must be something good in it.
Definitely, sir.
Then I've written about the 65 war. But the issue you raised just now is tackled in my book called Beyond Fear.
Beyond Fear.
Also available on Amazon. It tells you about army officers and army officers' wives and mothers and doctors and people in uniform, women in uniform. Out of 13 stories, 4 are about women in uniform, mothers and wives. And we do what we do. The Indian soldier, the Indian officer, the JSU and the NCO and the Jawan, do what they do because of their support they get from the home. It is the legacy, the tradition, culture of this country where the woman is the strength of the man. It is because of them we are able to do what we have to do. Support of our wives. My own wife has supported me right through. And it is they who help us to conquer fear. Fear is common to every man. Even Sai Manekshaw has said, anyone who says he's not afraid is either a liar or a Gurkha. Because Gurkhas are fearless. So, do think about getting that book also and reading it, Beyond Fear. 13 stories which tell you about army officers, women officers, medical officers, mothers, wives who have supported their husbands, their sons, their fathers, and make us strong and able to continue to do what we have to do in defense of the country.